What's up, guys? This is Void of Dust Gaming, your channel for fresh Arena of Valor content, and today I'm bringing you a brand new Tachi match as I'm just fighting my way through some casual matches to catch up with the game after a short pause again. So in this scenario we are going against what I believe is a 5Q. We had just solo players, I suppose, but we're going to check out the loading screen before we head into the game so that you guys see what this is all about. I love Tachi as a character. He has been introduced to the game as one of the newer characters, so if you have been following all the updates, you know that he is basically, I think, one of the top 5 new characters that have been introduced to the game. I kind of love him. That's just how to put it quite mildly, because I actually enjoy his playstyle quite a lot. He's more sorts of a tank Allain in my opinion, and he brings a lot to the table with some unique mechanics, with some kind of sealing mechanic where he is opening some wind seal, and then afterwards he's going to deal true damage and all sorts of things, which are actually quite fun to play. And therefore we are going to hop right into the game. But first of all, I would love to show and share my equipment with you. So what I've been taking today was sort of a semi-tanker support build, because in the team composition screen I was still in the mood, or in the belief that I am going to play the support for our Valheim. In fact, someone has just quickly changed his hero to support, so I will end up in the solo lane, which is going to be the top lane in this game. But it doesn't really matter, because I think the build works fine for both positions. As you can see, we're going with a hybrid tank build. We're having Fenrir's Tooth as well as the item Death Curse here for some Soul Prison, reducing the HP regeneration on heroes that we are fighting against. And the rest of the build is plain and simple tank items with Mantle of Ra and Gaia Standard. Enchantment wise, we're going with the best enchantment out there for tanks or supports, which is Explosive. The Explosive Shield, yeah, that's, I completely forgot everything about the game in that week when I was on holidays. So we've got Explosive Shield, we have Regrowth, and we've got Tower Blessing. And in the second part of our League of Humans enchantment, we've got Enhanced Restore as well as the finishing blow on the minions to be a little bit faster on the clearing speed, because his clearing speed is actually not quite nice. So we're going to support that with an enchantment. Arcana wise, I went with 10 times Indomitable, which is basically my tank Arcana. Then we've got Benevolence, which is another tank Arcana that you can use. And then I'm taking Skewer, but if you end up with not enough HP for all your shenanigans that you guys are going to pull off, this would be Valence in the green Arcana section if you are not digging into Skewer a lot. So this is basically the build. So if you like this kind of content and you want to support my channel, keep in mind to push the like button and put some comments down below for the algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, consider subscribing to never miss any of my videos. And without further ado, let's hop right into the action. Let's go game. So as you can see in the loading screen, we've got a team consisting of, I think, 5 Russian players, or at least that's what their flag is telling us. And we've got a good composition out of some tanks with some assassin-like attributes. And we're going to see how this is going to turn out for us in the later stages of the game. At first, I had to put my quick buy into the right section again, and as you can see, I was going with Valheim here. I was confused because I was about to pick the support item, but then I just saw that we have a Greg in our team. So therefore, as you can see, we've got Lorien, who isn't one of the strongest mages anymore because he has been nerfed quite a bit. We've got Wukong in the jungle, another decent choice, I suppose. We've got Tachi with me playing him on the top lane. I would say that's more sort of a stronger choice in respective to the current meta. And then we've got Grug and Valheim on the dual lane, and that's pretty basic. That's just something that you see a lot in the lower elos of the game. And I've been fighting against Arthur here, and he actually hit me quite hard, but I was able to hit back hard as well, and therefore we did not really spare anything. He was down to basically 2, 3, 5 shottable, and with the assistance of the tower, because he was just overextending a little bit too much, I was able to get a kill on him without any problem. So I had a good feeling that we could keep him in his tracks if we managed to land our abilities. It's a little bit complicated with Tachi because, as you guys might know, he is all about a seal that he has to break, and you have to target an enemy with auto attacks or abilities from 4 different directions in order to do so. Or you can use your your X-Blades spell, which is your ultimate, and your ultimate is going to trigger the seal immediately, so you don't have to run around in circles and try to hit enemies from different angles. It's just going to be there by using the ultimate, as we just did, and it's given us a nice shield buff and also the ability to hit faster and also deal, I suppose, true damage. And that's really neat. Like, that's a really good combo, a really good ability. So you've got some slow, you've got a movement shenanigan in order to dash through enemies, even with a 2 mark ability here with your S2. And then you've got your ultimate, but the ultimate is a little bit tricky because it has some kind of summoning sickness. So as soon as you activate it, it's not going off in a flash. You need to have patience, because I think it takes about half a second in order to go off. And you need to bear that in mind if you want to start to engage or just deal damage or something like that. And it needs a little bit of practice. Otherwise, you're not able to get it in the best possible way. So here we go. Moon Pierce full. Your first ability changes as soon as you have broken all the seals, and afterwards you can just continue to use your spells in the way that you have been used to. But the ultimate kind of changes the way that your first ability is going to cast. And again, it takes some practice because it makes his approach a little bit slower, and that's something that you need to bear in mind. So in this scenario, I had the Slayer and I wanted to catch it, but they were a lot faster than I was expecting them to be. So with a nice flicker, I managed to escape, and I was about to get Arthur here into the tower range so that he would get a shot or 2 in order to just make him back off and repel. But unfortunately, he has just way too much health for me to fight him, so I decided it would be the best to just go into the brush and recall. But you need to be careful because we have a Pain in the opposing team, and Pains are known for great mobility, especially mobility that comes out of the blue. You can't really do anything against it if a Pain wants to dive you, because he's just super fast, and you need to predict his movement quite carefully in order to stop him. And you guys will see that this Pain knew what he was doing, and as this team, I think they are 5Q, as I said at the beginning of the video, so communication should be a lot better on their team than it is on ours, especially because they can just tell each other when they are going to strike something, when they're going to retreat, when an opening has been made, or when they're going to approach one of the bigger monsters, aka the Abyssal Dragon or the Darkslayer. So they had a big advantage because communication is key in Arena of Valor, and you guys are going to see how this affected the game in a really bad kind of way. That said, I haven't been talking about the team composition of the enemies in detail. So they've got Allain, who is actually a really strong tank. He's not really that played in the higher elos because I think his kit is just a little bit too slow. And you've got great supports such as Richter, for example, who are a lot more bursty and they can bring some sort of speed to the game as soon as you play them quite aggressively, which I think is how you are supposed to play Richter. But they have a true tank with great shielding capabilities. They've got Arthur, who is a really well-rounded champion, great mobility. He's got some armor and he's got some damage as well. So he is a jack of all trades. And then they've got Pain, who is a nuke in his own existence. As you can see, you need a lot to stop him. And even if you want to stop him, he still is able to get a lot of damage onto your team. It took 3 of us to stop him in his tracks, and unfortunately it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to, because he was still able to get one of us, killing Valheim here. So you need to be really careful and not letting Pain feed on your corpses. But unfortunately that was something that we kind of neglected. He had the moment of surprise and he went in quite nicely. But so far, I'm doing good on my team with 3 kills, 0 deaths so far. But this is going to change immediately because I was going to ult in here, but Pain was there again. So I decided it is time to get some magic resistance. So they've got Valheim on the team as well. So we've got basically a mirror match. It's basically dependent on how good the support is and how good the Valheim is. Unfortunately, their Valheim seems to be a bit better than ours. As I said, they've got Pain, who is a pain in the ass if played correctly. And then they have Dirac. And Dirac is not a strong mage on his own, but he has some kind of new mechanics that have been introduced to the game with this character, where his passive is basically saving him from the fatal blow, because he's just losing mana, but this is going to take you a little bit more time to whittle him down, and that can be quite crucial in a team fight, because it just means that you need to put more resources into a fight and not being able to get Dirac here. As you can see, we're putting damage on him, and now I was able to kill him, so he wasn't able to get to full performance. I think he shot his ultimate straight into something. But as you can see, team fights are a lot better played with the team that we are facing. So they have a better communication, and now this was basically bollocks. Instead of kind of focusing one of the tanks, our Wukong should have gone straight for the Valheim, kill him, and then go out and try to kill a tank in the advance, but not focus on one of the tanks, because that just gave Valheim a great opportunity to go into the team fight and be a winner. And I think they made a mistake here, because they were just staying a little bit too long. They were a little bit too confident, but it doesn't really matter, because the enemy team is still leading the kill score, and we have a bit of a rougher time in order to kind of keep up with their pace and their speed. So I thought it was time to go in for Darkslayer, because the only person who would be able to get us here would be Pain, but he's not to be seen around the battlefield. I think he is chilling down at the bottom lane, and Dirac is not really a match for the 5 of us. So in this case, I think it was the right call. We got Darkslayer here without any problem. aka without any interference, and now we are able to push into the towers. But again, coordination and communication is key. As you can see, Valheim is already drawing back. Wukong is staying a little bit aside, and now we are dividing our forces in the jungle, which is never a good idea. That said, Wukong made a good entrance. Unfortunately, I went in completely blind, without any kind of strategy behind that. My teammates were far off, so there was no help to be seen. And now we've got Valheim defending our tower, and our base with a Dark Slayer against 4 of the enemy heroes, and I think this is not something that he is supposed to win, unfortunately, of course. So the game was going back and forth, but I would say at this point of the game, the enemies already had quite an advantage, and you can tell from the outcome of the team fights that their focus is a lot better than ours. And again, I'm telling you this all the time, but there is not any communication going on. So we do not have any calls. No one is calling retreat. No one is calling attack. No one is calling anything. So we're basically in autopilot, but that autopilot is a little bit broken, and it doesn't really matter, because I was trying to bait Arthur a little bit away from Grug here, but of course Arthur had sufficient damage to just finish me off without a problem. Unfortunately, Grug's hook is not connecting, and therefore we now need to set up the pace again from the bottom. And it's taken a lot of momentum, because now Allain is basically trying to get some farm, but it's not really helping us in terms of the progress of the game, because we're not really focusing on towers or monsters. And as you can see, 14-4 Pain it's actually quite annoying. This character can basically do whatever he wants, and with the 2 tanks ahead of the fight, he can just jump in whenever it is suitable, and we don't really have any sort of measure to deal with that. I mean, yes, Grug is a tank, and I'm some sort of semi-tank, but it's not really helping us. And now we decided to go in for Abyssal Dragon. I think that was the wrong choice, because look what's going to happen right now. So I was trying to zone Arthur out of it, but Pain already made an entrance, and now my team is basically backing off, which I think was another mistake. Either you're going to commit fully, or you are not going to commit at all. And in this case, it was basically a team wipe. The only person standing is Lorien. He can't really do anything against it. 15-5 Pain, 11-5 Valheim. They are completely wrecking us with the 2 tanks ahead of them. It's not really an issue for them to clear whatever they want, and we can't do anything against it. Look at that, like he was throwing something towards them, and it doesn't really affect even the squishiest character in the game. So tower's under attack. Tower's now broken. I think with the Dirac split, they've done a really good job on getting some more pressure on our towers. We are basically trying to defend it. Dirac was killed by Valheim, which is a really good thing, and now it's our duty to come back into the game. But the enemies have already been showing us that they have a better game in terms of the team fights, in terms of the objectives, and now I am stranded here. Valheim is deciding to go back and clear the lane. I don't really know why he's doing that, because there were some minions already pushing, so we would need his force even more in the battle. But with the squishy Wukong, who's not able to be as mobile and as unpredictable as Pain, we had a really hard time to fight them. And I mean, as the enemy team is supposedly a 5er queue, it doesn't really matter, because that is the finish of the game. So it was a defeat. I think the reasons for that were quite clear. Our coordination was actually ass. We did not really do anything towards a coordinated team fight. I'm MVP, which is nice, but I mean, if you're the MVP in the losing team, it's not really that great. I think I played it actually quite okay-ish. I think there were 1 or 2 situations that I could have fought a little bit better, but 28.9%, so most damage in my team, is actually going to tell you a story how the whole game went. So this was it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something from it. Never fight against 5 queues. Try to drop it. I'm out. Thanks and bye-bye.